Three, two, one. Rolling. Una, how are you?
I'm doing great today. It's sunny and it's November. What else can you ask for?
Yeah, it is beautiful out. So you just got back from CultureCon. What is CultureCon?
CultureCon is a conference about organizational culture, as described in the name. And it was started by these two guys that I think are doing an awesome job, Nick and Zach, because they realize a lot of leaders and a lot of people are really passionate and interested in making their cultures better. So they created a conference where obviously people give talks and there's a lot of networking and whatnot, but the whole purpose is helping people at all levels of the company, regardless of their role, be a culture agent or have ideas and tactics and skills to improve their culture wherever they are.
That sounds like fun. Did you have a favorite session or talk?
There were so many good ones, but there's one that sticks in my mind that definitely is influenced how I think. And you won't be surprised to hear that it's from a company called Admire Leadership, which is where Diana Futurovsky, one of our first guests, works at, right? So a lot of what we interviewed her about gives people insight into how they think about developing what they call admired leaders. And her coworker gave a talk about fanness, what they call literally being a fan, and how it's a way to motivate and inspire others in just a novel way. And the reason why it stuck out with me is because, well, it's easy in a sense. It's something that all of us can do, and they gave us practical tips. But I realized how powerful it could be, right? They used an example of bandwagon fans and diehard fans, right? Diehard fans love their team no matter what, even if they have terrible seasons, terrible 30 seasons, they love them. And a bandwagon fan only likes the team when they're doing well. So their main question for the audience is, why are you not a diehard fan of your team or the people on your team, right? Always root for them, always cheer for them. Even if the results are not always there, then you coach them and give them feedback and all that stuff. But separate the person from the results and be a fan. And as a diehard fan of all things Croatian national team, right? I was like, yeah, I get that, right? Sometimes they're terrible, but I still root for my team. And it feels like such an easy thing that we all know what it feels like. Most of us have teams that we're really rooting for. Why can't we just be that way with people?
I love that. That's pretty cool. Now, of course, I'm thinking, and I'm sure listeners are thinking, how do we know if we are a fair weather fan or a diehard fan? Like, what is there to look for in somebody to kind of determine the type of fan they are?
Do you think in yourself or in another person?
I would say in another person. So like if I wanted to look at a group of people and analyze them and ask the question, are they true diehard fans or are they just fans because the team is winning?
That's a great question. And I'm not sure what the speaker would say or what the Admire Leadership team would say. So I'm going to interpret it in my way.
Okay.
But the way you look at that, I think a fair weather fan or a group of people that are fair weather fans, when something goes wrong, there's a lot of finger pointing and blaming on each other. Let's say it's a team and something's not going well with the team. Finger pointing, blaming, thinking that we need to change out the players on the team because something's not working, or there's a lot of judgment, there's a lot of negativity. Versus with the diehard fan, like teams that are diehard fans of each other, when something goes wrong, they come together, right? They might say, hey, what happened was terrible. We screwed up. We should probably not do that again. Now let's think about what contributed to it. They might even own their own contributions to the problem versus pointing fingers at each other. And they're going to look towards what can they do next to improve, to create a more positive experience. That's the first thing that comes to mind. I think there's a lot of finger pointing in the fair weather fan versus, okay, this is still our team. The game did not go as well as we planned it. How do we adjust and go forward?
I like that. I like that a lot. Did you hear of or notice any emerging trends in the culture space?
This is not an emerging trend, but it's a thing that every company, regardless of size and industry, struggles with, which is employee engagement. Mm-hmm. How do you keep employees connected to the company and a mission, connected to each other, connected to their work, right? This whole notion of employee engagement really permeated a lot of the talks that people talked about, a lot of the questions that they had. And it's exacerbated by remote work, right? It's even harder to connect with someone when they're thousands of miles away. But I don't think it was ever a problem that didn't exist, right? Now it's just even harder. So a lot of talks, a lot of speakers, even if the talk wasn't about employee engagement, they kind of slid it in like ideas for like, hey, this is how you bring employee engagement. So I think it was reassuring to know that everyone struggles with it in one way or another, and everyone's constantly working on it. I don't think it's a thing that you get there, right? It's not like, okay, now I'm done, my employees are engaged. It's more of a thing that you do all the time to continue to keep people engaged.
Got it. And then my last question about CultureCon, did you leave with any actionable ideas that you can apply to our business?
Oh, that's a great question. To our business. There are definitely things we can be of more of a resource for our customers, right? Different employee engagement ideas that don't necessarily connect with recognition, right? There's multiple ways to engage people that doesn't just talk about recognition and rewards. There was one guy who gave a talk, and one of the sentences in the talk was, it's not about leadership, it's about followership, right? You're not a leader if you don't have people following you. So think about how do I get people to follow? So when you're bringing about change in a company or doing anything, it's how do you get people to follow? And one of his kind of questions to ask yourself is, can I get 5 people to move, 5 people to follow me? So the reason why I bring that up is with Hey Taco, a lot of how people get engaged and adopt gratitude as a habit is by just starting to give tacos to others, right? I give tacos to 5 people a day. Those 5 people now give tacos to 5 people a day, right? It kind of spreads as a network effect. So maybe one of the things is, how do we encourage people to give? How do we encourage people to follow each other and to give, kind of pay it forward and bring about the change in a company, which is to build that culture of gratitude where people just say thank you as a matter of fact, even more easily with Hey Taco. So maybe that was one thing of how do we make tacos spread like fire even more often as we onboard people to our product, as people start interacting with the app even further.
That's great.
Well, thanks for the interview, Doug.
Of course. Until next time.
Until next time.